Hi everyone, welcome to today's Coffee Break webinar. My name is Jonathan Mudrick and I'm a consultant at RIB. Today's topic of focus will be on workbook standard reports. For those who don't know, iTWO costX is a fully integrated estimating solution with universal application supporting everything from hand-drawn sketches to PDFs, 2D and 3D CAD drawings, and BIM files. iTWO costX is available in a variety of feature levels, depending on the size of your business or your estimating requirements. iTWO costX offers quick and easy on-screen takeoff and measurement that can be live linked to our comprehensive workbooks to help you save time and eliminate errors. The platform also offers professional report writer, an auto-revisioning tool to help with new drawing revisions, and much more. And as you can see, there are a huge variety of file types supported by iTWO costX to help with compatibility, as we want your import or export processes to be as smooth as possible. Our latest webinar covered a full demonstration on the new features in version 7.0, which was informative. Topics included major improvements to RVT files, many zone enhancements, IFC files now support wireframe geometry, additional IFC entities and improved colors, new TechWeb samples and templates portal on our website, various improvements to dimension colors, variable enhancements, and many more. If you'd like to view the recording of that webinar, you can do so at www.itwocostx.com/costx/videos/webinars. Today's webinar, we are focusing on standard reports. I'll take you through a brief overview on workbook reports. I'll show you how you can generate a standard report. I'll also show you how you can copy a standard report. And finally, and more importantly, I'll show you how you can edit a standard report. Within the standard report properties window, there are 6 main editing tabs, namely Data, Grouping, Page Layout, Header, Columns, and Footer. We'll first copy an existing standard report and then use these 6 tabs to edit a report. So without further delay, I'll open up my costX. I'll now take you through a brief overview on the workbook reports. Over here, I have a workbook already selected called Trade Estimate. To print a workbook report, firstly ensure you have the Workbooks ribbon tab selected, and then click the Reports button. If you selected the lower half of the Reports button, then simply click Print Workbook to report. The Reports window is then displayed, listing all the reports within your database. Within the report type column, you'll notice that iTWO costX has 2 types of reports, namely standard and custom. Standard reports allow a degree of customization, but only within defined parameters. You can customize report content by selecting options such as which levels of the workbook and columns to include, as well as various formatting and coding settings. We also have a custom report writer available in iTWO costX. Within this, users can create reports which are fully customizable. This feature may be covered in another webinar, but we do have iTWO costX online training for custom reports available for advanced users. Alternatively, you can also convert a standard report to a custom report by using the Convert button on the Reports List dialog. This allows the user to start off with a solid base report before adding customization, so they don't have to start from scratch. Note, standard reports with quantity and rate subsheets cannot be converted. The default reports shipped with iTWO costX are referred to as system reports and are shown as either custom with the word system in parentheses or standard with the word system in parentheses. System reports cannot be edited, but they can be copied and the copy can then be edited. The following reports list is the default set that ships with iTWO costX. In addition, several sample report templates are included with the iTWO costX download package as EXF files that can be imported into iTWO costX. Furthermore, reports can also be downloaded from our TechWeb page on our website. To generate a report, simply select the report that you would like to generate. In this example, I'll select the trade detail report as I have a trade estimate workbook selected. Then click the Generate button. Next, we have the Generate Report window appear where we have the ability to make a few minor and final adjustments within the Report Options tab and Printer Options tab before previewing or printing the report. For now, we will just preview the reports in its default form. As you can see, this is an example of a two-level standard report where Preliminaries heading appears in level 1 of the workbook and all the detail beneath that, which is coming from level 2 of the workbook. Same with the Groundworks heading coming from level 1 of the workbook and the detail below that coming from level 2 of the workbook. This report, from an overall perspective, is a good start, but you may want to edit it. For example, we don't want to show the subtotal or factor column in the report. We want the Groundworks trade to start on a new page. We want to add a company logo in the header. We want to widen the units column as the word months doesn't fit. We may want to also do a few other minor adjustments. Therefore, we will close out of this report and create a copy of the report and then edit the copy. At the end of the webinar, I will show you the difference between this report and the edited version. To copy a report, select it from the reports list, then use the copy button. This will bring up the insert report screen, which allows you to insert or edit some basic information for the new report. Just note that all of these fields may be edited at a later stage. Therefore, I will leave the default settings for now. The only field that we are unable to amend later on is the report name. This field is the name of the report that will be used in the report listing and in the EXF table of contents if the report is exported. Therefore, for this example, I will simply amend the report name with our company name of RIB and then click Next. Now that we have copied the standard report, we will have the ability to select the copied report and click the Edit button. Once clicked, the Report Properties window is displayed. There are several tabs which allow different settings for your report to be specified. To create and save the new report with the default options, click the Insert or Update button. Otherwise, click each of the tabs at the top of the window for further details on choosing the required options for your report. First up, the Data tab. Within this tab, we have some basic settings for the report, including which columns to use and how many levels deep the report should be. For those using a network license, there will also be an editing access field, which could be set to either shared or private. Using the From Level drop-down selection list, select the highest workbook level the report should include data from. For example, if the report requires information from the top sheet and one level of subsheets of the workbook, select level 1 in this field, representing the top sheet. This field is mandatory. Using the 2-level drop-down selection list, select the lowest workbook level a report should include data from. For example, if the report requires information from the top sheet and one level of subsheets of the workbook, select level 2 in this field, representing the subsheets. This field is also mandatory. If the Include Rates Sheet checkbox is ticked, that will include the data from the rate sheet buildups. If the Include Quantity Sheets checkbox is ticked, that will also include the data from the quantity sheet buildups. I'll leave both of these checkboxes unticked. Next, choose which columns your report will use by moving the column names from the Available Columns box displayed on the left into the Selected Columns box on the right. For example, we said that we wanted to remove the subtotal and factor columns, respectively. Therefore, we can select them and click the left arrow to remove them from the selected box. To specify the column order on the page, use the up and down buttons to move the column names in the selected columns box. Columns are displayed from left to right on the page based on the order displayed in the selected columns box. To include blank lines in the report, ensure the Show Blank Lines checkbox is ticked. A row will be output to the report for each blank line. To include empty groups, i.e. rows with no subsheets, ensure the Show Empty Groups checkbox is ticked. To ignore lines in a report with no information in any of the quantity, rate, subtotal, or total columns, ensure the Show Zero Value Lines checkbox is unticked. Otherwise, to show these lines, leave it ticked. To filter a report based on codes from the A code column in a workbook, tick the Filter by Code checkbox. If the Filter by Code checkbox is ticked, the Codes to Show field is used as filtering criteria when the report is generated. Codes specified in this field must be separated by semicolons. Any row found in a workbook with a specified code will be output in the report. So for example, if I wanted to filter the report to only show the carpentry trade, I would need to type in the carpentry trade code from the A code column of the workbook, which is T20. The previous revision field is enabled if any previous or variance columns are used, such as when creating comparison reports. When enabled, it allows you to select whether you want to include or exclude rows that exist in the previous revision and have been deleted in the current revision. At this point, we can click the preview to see some of the data changes. We can now see that the subtotal and factor column data are no longer displayed. We can also see that only the data for the carpentry trade is displaying due to the filter that we applied. Let's close out of the preview and continue editing this report. Before moving on, I want to switch the filter off so that all the data is displayed in the report. Therefore, we can delete T20 in the Codes to Show field and untick the Filter by Code checkbox. Next, we'll look at grouping and collection options. The first grouping option relates to grouping of information by workbook levels. Each subsheet in a workbook is grouped under the parent's row's description. The term group is a general term used to refer to a particular category in the workbook which has a breakdown. A group normally refers to a particular trade or element within the workbook. To display each group on a separate page, ensure the One Group Per Page checkbox is ticked. To display each subgroup on a separate page, ensure the One Subgroup Per Page checkbox is ticked. This report only goes to 2 levels, and therefore there are no subgroups and the option is disabled. There are 3 group header styles. Now that you know what a group is, these 3 options should be relatively self-explanatory. If you're not sure what each of these options do, then use the Help button at the top right-hand side of the iTWO costX window. For this example, I'll leave it set to the default setting of Always Show as Group with Heading. To include automatically generated group numbers or letters with group headers, ensure the Show Group Number checkbox is ticked. This will generate an automatic sequential number against each of the group headers. However, if you'd prefer to rather use the numbers from the A code column in the workbook, then leave this checkbox unticked for now. The second group of formatting options relates to page totals and collection pages. This option is only available when the One Group Per Page checkbox is ticked. For this example, I don't require any collection pages, therefore I won't use any of these settings. However, to quickly describe what each would do, The Show Collection Totals option would include page totals at the bottom of each page. To include summary collection pages for each group, for example, trade or element, and a final collection summary at the end of the report, ensure the Show Collection Pages checkbox is ticked. There are some page numbering settings. For this example, I'll leave the default settings. Please refer to the iTWO costX help if you require more information. At this point, let's click the Preview button to see some of the grouping changes. We can now see that the Groundworks trade starts displaying on a new page, and Concrete trade has its own page, and so on and so forth. Let's close out of the preview and continue editing this report. Next, we will take a look at the Page Layout tab to set the margins, paper size, and grid lines for the report. First up, paper size. If you're designing the report around a specific paper size and orientation, it is useful to save paper size information with the report as opposed to using the default settings of the printer. To specify paper size for the report, select it from the paper size drop-down selection list. The selection list comes from the paper sizes that the current printer supports. If default is selected, the default paper size for the printer is used when the report is generated. However, if we change this to A4, for example, the orientation, width, and height fields become live, allowing us to alter these settings. The orientation field allows the selection between a portrait and a landscape layout to be made. To enter paper size that is not supported by the printer, type in the paper width to the width field and the paper height to the height field. To set the top, bottom, left and right margins, enter a number in the appropriate field, representing the physical margin length. For example, the default margin is 6.35 in millimeters or 0.25 in inches. If the margin is displayed in millimeters and you wish to work in inches or vice versa, update the measurement system setting in your iTWO costX options. The grid line field specifies how vertical and horizontal grid lines are arranged in the report. To display a border around the data fields, ensure the Show Report Border checkbox is ticked. To display the vertical lines between columns, ensure the Show Vertical Lines checkbox is ticked. To display vertical lines through the entire body of the report, ensure the Full Page Vertical Lines checkbox is ticked. I'll leave this unticked. To display the horizontal lines between rows, ensure the Show Horizontal Lines checkbox is ticked. For this example, I will untick this checkbox as I don't want any horizontal lines to be displayed. To display a vertical right border line on the report, ensure the Show Right Border checkbox is ticked. To show a border around the summary row at the end of the report, tick the Show Summary Border checkbox. You can either have the group border set to display around the group content only, or set to enclose group content, header, and footer. To set the leftmost column of the report, which should display grid lines, choose a column from the left border column drop-down selection list. Let's click the Preview button to see some of the page layout changes. We can now see that there aren't any horizontal lines displayed. Let's close out the preview and continue with the editing. Next, we have the Header tab with options for the report header and title, including fonts, layouts, and logos. The first group of header options, called Custom Logo, relates to the display of a logo on the report. To browse to the logo file, click the ellipsis button located on the right-hand side of the file name field. The open dialog is displayed, allowing you to browse to and select the logo. Once you have found and selected the logo, click the Open button. General file formats like JPEG, PNG, and bitmap files are supported. For a full list of files supported, please refer to iTWO costX help. The quality of different formats and printer options varies considerably. It is recommended that you experiment with formats and printer options in the order to obtain the highest quality output. Note that printing to the printer directly from the print preview window will generally provide better results than printing to a format such as PDF before printing to the printer. To display the logo on the left of the report header, select Left in the Show On drop-down selection list. A file name must be selected before this option is enabled. To display a wide pixel logo instead of the standard pixel logo, tick the double width checkbox. The second header options group relates to the header style and header layout. The header layout drop-down selection list provides 4 options: multi-field, single title only, 2-column title only, and 3-column title only. I'll choose the multi-field option. The third group of the header options, called Report Title, relates to the display of the title of the report. Change the title to read Detailed Trade Estimate and ensure that the title is shown on the center of the header. It is possible to set the font and size of text in various header fields by selecting the font from the left drop-down selection list and the size from the right drop-down selection list. Each of the fields can be set individually. There are 3 fields which can have the font and size set: page header, column header, and group header. I'll amend the page header. I'll click the preview button to see some of the header changes. We can now see that there is a logo and that the title is centered and has a different font. We can see that this unit column isn't wide enough, which brings us to the next tab in the report, Properties window. So let's close out of the preview to change that. I'll click the Columns tab. This tab allows column heading, column data, and column footer options to be specified for each column. The Columns tab allows the user to select a column at the top and then specify the settings for that column. The settings are broken down into 4 categories. These are the column size, column heading options, column data options, and column footer options. If the column you wish to set the format for is not available in the column drop-down selection list, return to the Data tab and add it to the selected columns box. Once you've selected a column, the options for that column can be specified. The first group of column options relates to the size of the currently selected column, in this case the unit column. The column width is automatically set to a value that is appropriate for most circumstances. However, it may be adjusted by changing the default value in the width field. I'll need to increase it to, say, 13 millimeters. The second group of column options relates to the headings for the currently selected column. To display the column with a name in the heading, ensure the Show in Heading checkbox is ticked. If it is not ticked, the column will still be displayed, but no name will appear in the heading. To change the heading name for the column, enter the name in the column heading field. If the name is too long to fit the width of the column, the name will wrap to the next line. Currently, we have a keyword over here which duplicates the column heading from the workbook. You may refer to iTWO costX help for more detail on keywords. The third group of column options relates to the data for the currently selected column. The options available in this group change depending on which column is selected. For example, if we wanted to generate a report without the rates and total figures displayed, but you still want to show the respective columns, then we could simply change the column selection to the rate column and untick the Show Column Data checkbox. Even although we have rates in the workbook, If the current setting is left like this, the report won't display the rates within the rate column. Same for the total column. The fourth group of column options relates to the footer or summary information for the currently selected column. The options available in this group change depending on which column is selected. To display a value in the group footer for the selected column, ensure the Show in Group Footer checkbox is ticked. If it is not ticked, the column will still be displayed, but no group footer information will appear for that column. The group footer displays summary information at the bottom of each group in the report. For example, if the group was carpentry, the group footer would contain all the summary information for the carpentry subsheet in the workbook. In this example, I've unticked the Show Column Data option. Therefore, it automatically deactivates or locks this section off as the column footer options are directly related to the column data options. I'll click the preview button to see some of the column changes that I've just applied. We can now see that unit column is now wide enough to display the full words months. You'll also notice that even although we have rates and totals in the workbook, they are no longer displaying on the report due to the fact that we untick the Show Column Data checkbox for these two columns. I'll close out of the preview. Before moving on to the final tab, I just want to show the column data for both the rate and total column. Finally, I'll select the Footer tab. This tab allows the settings for the report footer to be specified, such as page numbering and fonts, etc. The footer options are divided into the left, center, and right. In each of these fields, text and keywords may be entered according to the preferences of your organization. The printed footer supports up to 3 lines of text. Any plain text entered in the left, center, and right fields is printed as typed, and report keywords are replaced with their appropriate values at the time the report is generated. More details and additional keywords can be found in the iTWO costX help. Simply search for report keywords. As part of iTWO costX licensing, the organization that iTWO costX is registered to is printed on all reports, usually in the footer. The report keyword company is used to show the organization and can be placed in the left, center, or right of the footer. It is also possible to delete the keyword from the footer and place it in the report header if required. If the organization name to which iTWO costX is registered is incorrect, it can be updated. Within iTWO costX help, review the topic Updating Registration Details. Again, we can see that it is possible to set the font and size of text in various footer and summary fields by selecting the font from the left drop-down selection list and the size from the right drop-down selection list. Each of the fields can be set individually. To include page totals at the bottom of each page, ensure the Show Page Totals checkbox is ticked. A total for the page will be printed at the bottom, together with the text included in the page total text field. To change the text displayed at the bottom of each page to the left of the page total, enter the required text in the page total text field. The text entered in the page total text field is also the text used for collection pages if the Show Collection Totals option is selected in the Collection section of the Grouping tab. I'll leave this unticked as I have it set to show the group total at the end of each group. And finally, to display a line between the report footer and the body of the report, ensure the Show Separator Line checkbox is ticked. To save this report and all of the settings that we've just applied, we need to click the Update button. To generate the updated report, select it and click the Generate button. Again, we have the same Generate Report window appear where we have the ability to change some settings on the fly before printing or previewing the report. I'll click the Preview button to view the new report. If we do a comparison to the system report that we had generated at the beginning of this webinar, you'll notice a major difference in the visual aesthetics between these two standard reports. And hopefully you've also realized the flexibility of customizing your own standard reports using different combinations and option settings provided to you. Thank you for watching our webinar on standard reports. If you'd like to contact myself or any of my team members, please contact us using the email address on screen. If you want to view the recording of this webinar or watch any of our other iTWO costX coffee break webinars, just visit our website at www.itwocostx.com/costx/videos/webinars. You can also subscribe on our website to be notified when new webinars are uploaded. Plus, if you'd like to see other iTWO costX videos, not just the webinars, go ahead and visit our YouTube channel. And you can like our videos and hit the subscribe button to be notified when we upload new YouTube videos. Thank you very much and hope you all have a great day.